and welcome to Spot on the Money. I am your host, Sal Velasquez, and today I'm joined by the founder and CEO of Fitzwilliams Financial, Mr. Tim Fitzwilliams. Tim, it's a pleasure to have you here today. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm excited because, our first segment, we always like to focus on a spotlight story. And today, I like to focus on your story.
All right.
What's your inspiration, or what was your inspiration for getting into the industry and doing what you do today?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. Unfortunately, it was a series of life events that occurred in my family. So at a very young age, my father had a heart attack, and he's a retired military guy, but he had a heart attack, and then my mom came down with cancer, and then the two of those ailments really, really took a toll on my family. They had to start over and rebuild life. And then later in life, I saw that my dad was getting sicker and sicker. And so I knew at a really young age that I wanted to be involved in helping people understand what they have and how to navigate through the various perils of financial planning, whether it's long-term care or taxes or real estate, whatever it may be. I wanted to be able to at least help people. But I also knew that I wasn't good at a lot of things. And I myself had a really rough start. I started from the bottom, Sal. I was broke. My car actually got repoed. I know that's not what you want to hear from financial advisors or people that you might want to give their money to, but I started from the bottom. And with my wife and myself, we worked really hard and every day just grinding out, working to be able to help families. And over time, we just kept putting back and investing back into our own company to the point to where we were able to hire people that are better than us at certain areas, right? Because like I say, I'm not good at a lot of things. I'm an economist. I do what I do best. I trade for the rest, and I find experts. So we were continuing to stay humble, continuing to stay within our means and just build our company and hire the best people in all the different areas of financial planning so that we could finally accomplish my goal of letting people understand what it is they have and how these pieces work.
Well, Tim, that's a very inspirational story. And one thing that I've learned about you and your practice is that you have a phenomenal team. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the team that works behind the scenes of Fitzwilliams Financial?
Absolutely. I'm really proud of the team that we have. We have an attorney because we believe estate planning is extremely important. So that's in-house, so we can handle trust, wills, medical directives, and all those things that go along with that. We have a tax firm in-house, so we can do tax preparation. Not to be confused with tax planning, we can do that as well, but we have access to tax attorneys and accountants and things of that nature to help with tax strategies. We have insurance planning, where there's insurance professionals to help with life insurance and long-term care and things like that. And then, of course, we also have an investment planning side of the house. We're for market, and that's where we brought in a CFA, right, which is a chartered financial analyst. And a lot of people are not very familiar with what that is. And so I tell folks, and to you, ladies and gentlemen, if you were curious as to what that is, or if you could speak to one, you just look inside your 401k, find a fund, look for the fund manager, give them a call and see if they'll talk to you. And Sal, the truth is most people won't ever talk to one, right? They normally talk to people 40 million or up, right? Because you have to be a significant portfolio for a CFA to be a part of it. Well, at Fitzwilliams Financial, we brought a CFA in-house to work with our clients, right? So we did that because we felt it was the best use of intellectual capital we could possibly get. And so with all of that, it creates a very nice synergistic one-stop shop, one phone call to be able to handle all your financial planning needs in one place.
Well, that's an impressive team. And that's why you're able to offer the type of holistic financial planning that you do.
Right.
Now, tell me a little bit about your clients. Who are the clients that Fitzwilliams Financial helps? What do they do? Are they business owners? Are you working with pre-retirees, retirees? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we don't tell anyone no. We don't have a specific group that we only work with, but I can say the majority are 60 to age 80 that are about pre-retirees and retirees that are looking to figure out how they can maximize their retirement. How can they minimize taxes and maximize their retirement? That's generally the focal point. Investment levels range from all over relative to the location that we're servicing, but it's truly a different amount based on what that person has. You know, someone may not want to give us everything they have. They may want to just give us a piece, or some people may want to give us everything. So what we do for each client is really going to be different based on what they have and what they need to accomplish.
Great. You know, in talking with some of your team members previously, one word that resonated with me was a concierge approach, which is one of your core principles at Fitzwilliams Financial.
Right.
So tell our audience what that means and what they can expect.
So a concierge approach means you as the consumer, you don't have to worry about all the logistics and details of a financial plan. You can get as deep as you want to, or you can stay as high level as you want to. But we can take care of everything if that's what you want us to do, whether it's tax planning, estate planning, investment planning, retirement planning, insurance planning. We can handle all the key points of holistic financial planning if that's what you want. In fact, if you do want that, feel free to give us a call, because we'll do that complimentary, Sal. We'll provide an analysis of what they have. We call that our green light retirement check. So if you want to give us a call, feel free at 1-800-685-3194. And we will walk you through what you have so you know exactly what you're paying in fees, what your risk tolerances are, and what your overall portfolio is looking like.
Well, Tim, one last question before we head over to a commercial break. All of this that you're offering is completely complimentary.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow.
Because we believe by doing programs like this, by doing the conferences that we do, we market to the masses. And so when that happens, what's going to happen is the cream's going to rise to the top. The people that want to do business with us are going to do business with us. Those that don't are not, right? And that's okay. We understand that. But it all works out in the end. If we're able to provide this value up front that most people charge thousands of dollars for, we know that if we can talk to enough people, that eventually someone's going to say, you know what, I think I like what you're saying as a value, and we'd like to start a relationship. And that makes it all worth it. And it all works from there.
Wow, that's invaluable. And to our friends at home, just as a quick reminder, you heard it from Team. At Fitzwilliams Financial, they have an estate planning attorney, they have a CFA, they have a tremendous team. And what Tim is offering to everybody that's watching us today is for you to make that phone call. Call 800-685-3194, and you too will have access to a fully comprehensive, do you have the green light to retire analysis, and a copy of his book, which we will be talking a little bit about in today's episode of Spot on the Money. In the meantime, we're going to go into a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Sal Velasquez, and I'm joined today by the president and founder of Fitzwilliams Financial, Mr. Tim Fitzwilliams. Tim, welcome back.
Hi, Sal. Great to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, especially because this is my favorite part of the show.
Okay.
This is what we call the On the Spot segment.
That
So
sounds
are you
fun.
ready for me to
I
ask you
knew it
some
was
quick
coming.
questions?
All right, let's do it.
Well, I was truly inspired by your first section. So for our viewers that missed it, we were talking about the impressive team at Fitzwilliams Financial. And that got me thinking because, you know, obviously you built a phenomenal practice. You're very well equipped to handle everything from tax planning to investment planning, all the way to estate planning, insurance planning, everything as it relates to financial planning. And that
Absolutely.
got me thinking, does everybody need an advisor? And if they do, how do they find the right advisor?
Right, that's a good question. Does everyone need an advisor? I'd say no, not everyone needs an advisor. I think it's about what do you want to do with your free time, right? If you're going to spend 25 hours a week studying what you have, and you're also going to subscribe to some type of influential, solid database, right, that's going to provide you market news. And if you're also going to probably subscribe to some type of charting service, and you're really going to take it that serious, set up a home computer, get it all set up like that, yeah, you probably don't need an advisor when it comes to the investment side of the house. Yeah. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. So you need a holistic financial advisor. Yes, I think everyone needs a holistic financial advisor, but does everyone need an investment advisor? No. That's one piece of the many parts of a holistic financial plan, Sal.
Okay. Because there are a lot of people that do this on their own time. They do it themselves. Sure. But that also gets me thinking. It's all about time or money, or money and time. So either you're giving up time to save some money, or you're giving up money to save some time, which in my opinion, it's ultimately the most valuable commodity that we all possess, time, right?
Absolutely, especially if you're a business owner. A lot of people think it's just for retirees that they don't want to, you know, they probably, they're retired, they shouldn't put in the time and study the market. Look, if you're a business owner, you want to grow your business. How well are you going to grow your business if you're constantly being stressed out and worried about what's happening in the market? So you want to make sure that you do what you do best, right? Just like we talk about, do what you do best and trade for the rest.
That's right. And that got me thinking also, well, business owners are just one type of the many clients that you have, but I'm sure there must be different styles and types of financial advisors.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. There's plenty of types of financial advisors. It depends on what you're looking to accomplish. Some are very focused on different styles of investing, and they're strictly an investment advisor, right? Some are focused more on using maybe insurance-based solutions. But really, to accomplish everything, you need a team. So whether or not that advisor is an investment manager, or if they're focused on insurance models, or if they're focused on their own model that they developed, that's on the investment side of the house, and that's a portfolio. And everybody can have a portfolio, but do you have a plan? That's what it's about. Do you have a plan? And not all advisors are the same. So you're going to want to look for some key factors, Sal. Number one, you're going to want to have a fiduciary, ladies and gentlemen. That's someone who must put your interests ahead of their own by legal standards. That's a fact. Second, you're going to want an independent person. What does independent mean? It means that they're not being bossed around by somebody from, let's say, in some big box shop that says, hey, you're going to sell this today and you're going to get a bonus, so you're going to sell it, so you do it because you want to keep your job. An independent has access to thousands of investment houses and different options, so you get to choose it. You're not forced, right? Holistic financial planner, that's number three, which means that they're looking at all the key points of a good financial plan. They're looking at the investment planning. Not just that, but how it pertains to tax planning, retirement planning, insurance planning, and of course, estate planning. And then last but not least, we believe you want the last point, which is a concierge service model, which means you don't have to worry about all of this coming together in one symphony. We will do that for you. We'll take care of it for you. If you wanted to have an analysis done and find out what you have and say, look, I don't want to deal with it, I want one place to call, that's what I've designed my firm around. So I think that if you're listening to this, you would want to find someone like us that's going to be a fiduciary, that's going to be independent, and that is going to put the client's best interest first while trying to find something that meets their needs.
That's a great point, Tim. You just gave our audience 4 very specific key areas that they need to look for in a financial advisor.
Absolutely.
What else would you say to those individuals that are watching us right now that they maybe already work with a financial advisor? Mm-hmm. Are there any other things that they should be looking for outside of those 4 that you just mentioned? Well,
I think it's important to understand, what is your financial advisor doing for you? Are they strictly just investing? If so, what style or what is going on in that scenario? Are they handling tax planning? Are they handling estate planning? A lot of the times you'll find that they won't. A lot of the investment houses will not do trusts or tax planning for you. They just won't touch it. They'll send you elsewhere.
Wow. You mentioned concierge, and again, I brought it up in the first segment, so now I'm going to put you on the spot regarding your concierge service.
Sure.
So if you can describe exactly what our audience is going to go through the moment they decide to pick up that phone and call you, will they get to speak to you? Will they interact with your team members? Will they get to know the rest of your team? And what do they get in return?
So the idea of a concierge service is to not worry about any of the process that is being taken care of for you. Like, for lack of a better word, like you're a movie star. We want to treat you that you are the most important person on the team. But when you call, you're going to talk to a team member. You're going to set up an appointment to have an analysis. That's called our green light retirement check. And through that, we're going to go through your budgeting. We're going to go through your tax planning. We're going to go through your estate planning. We're going to go through what you currently have and the fees that you're currently paying. Once we do that, our team is going to go back, do research, and run a lot of reports to include like Morningstar to identify what you currently have versus what you want to have. And we'll show you what percentage you need to make to keep your lifestyle the same. We'll show you what level of risk you should be taking. We'll do all of that complimentary. If you then decide from there, Sal, that you want to continue on with us, that you want to become a client, then we would sit down and talk about how we would onboard. But all the way up to that, from understanding what parts of your life are important to you, understanding what issues you may have, understanding how to solve those issues. We're going to give you everything, but do it for you unless you become a client. But before that, the rest you're going to be able to have. And that's what you can expect by making a phone call. You're going to know exactly what you have and how it works.
Great. Friends at home, take this very seriously. I know you're watching because this is important to you. So if this is important to you, now is the time for you to take that next step. Make sure you call Tim's office. The phone number is 800-685-3194. They have multiple offices, and they have a very concierge-driven approach that will make sure that not only provide you with the information that you're looking for, but that you also feel very well taken care of. Well, we're going to cut very quickly to a commercial break, but we'll be right back with more Spot on the Money with our guest, Tim Fitzwilliams. We'll be right back.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Sal Velasquez, and I'm joined by our guest, Tim Fitzwilliams from Fitzwilliams Financial. Tim, one of the things that we were talking about in our last segment, and we didn't have enough time to get into it, I want to make sure I address it. You brought up the financial analysis that you're offering to everybody
Yes.
on a complimentary
Right.
basis.
The green light retirement check.
The green light retirement check. What are some of the things that you see when our viewers put in a request for that type of analysis?
Sure. I think one of the things that we find is how diversified are you?
Okay.
We get to answer that question. A lot of people feel they're diversified. They have a bunch of different mutual funds. But unfortunately, due to how the market is now, we'll see that the same funds have the same holdings. So you'll see Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google in one mutual fund, and you'll see it in the other mutual fund as well. So that's not really diversification, is it, Sal?
No, not at all.
We see that all the time. So that's one thing. They think because they have a couple of different funds, the way that it was spun or sold or what have you, made them feel that it was diversified. But in reality, it was mostly the same stuff, which would be a problem if we started to approach volatility, as we're starting to see now.
Speaking of problems, do you ever find any surprises when it comes to fees?
Absolutely. Fees are a very interesting thing, right? Nobody likes that word. It's the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to pay for anything. But I was told a long time ago, by my family, that you get what you pay for in life, right? But it needs to have value. You need to understand what you're paying for. If you're going to buy something, you need to know how it works and what it does. If you think about luxury brands, when you go to buy something at that level, you know exactly what it is, how it's made, and why it's like that. You need to understand what it is you're paying for, and don't make assumptions. In fact, recently I had someone coming in, swear up and down, I'm paying 1%, I'm paying 1%, I know I'm only paying 1%. Okay, sir, no problem. Let's take a look. So we're going through the green light retirement cell. We're going through it line by line. We do the Morningstar report. We find out the actual fees that he's paying, and he had some product placement in there that he wasn't exactly sure how that worked. He was paying about 5%.
5%.
Yes, 5%. And he wasn't aware of that, because it's all about how it's translated. Maybe it's an admin and expense fee. Maybe it's a,
Some fancy
type
name.
of fee, a 12B1, whatever. We can go into many, many different names. That's the whole point, is to make a bunch of names that nobody understands, right? That's the idea. So there's so many different ways that the fees can be hidden. And again, that's why you want to go to a fiduciary to find out, did you put my best interest first? Now look, if that 5% gave value that the client knew that they were paying for and said, look, I think that's worth it, then God bless them, that's fine. But the problem is that's not what happens. When the client goes back to the advisor and says, hey, I was talking to Tim Fitzwilliams and his team, and you say I'm paying 5%. Well, yeah, that's what you're paying, but you're only paying me 1%. Well, the client didn't want to have that, well, this, then that, right? They wanted a straight answer. And you don't always get that unless you know how to ask. Right. That's the problem. You have to know how to ask. We have documents that my staff has learned how to use that are 30, 40 questions long. We'll go through every single question to identify what that person has. Sometimes we're on the phone with clients while we're doing that, when we're calling the asset or the investment, and the client's amazed at how we ask the questions, because you have to do it almost in code to get the exact answer.
Yeah, you make a very good point. And sometimes, how are you going to ask a question that you don't know you should ask?
You don't even know.
Yeah, that's why
you
you
don't
need
know
to
what
go to a
M&A fees are,
professional.
12B1 fees, or rider charges if you have a product or any of that stuff. You just don't know. Even if you read it all, you're an engineer and you dissect the contract, it may be mention of it in a definition or something, the way that it's worded, you're not going to know what applies to you or how it was done or how it's executed. It's just, it's the unfortunate truth.
Wow. So that's the downside. Sometimes they find out surprises, things that they didn't know. But are there any times where it's the complete opposite? Somebody comes to you, you do an analysis, and you're able, as a second opinion, to confirm that they're doing the right thing for their plan. Does that ever happen?
I can say that it does happen from time to time. And let me tell you the types of people that normally applies to. So if I could, it applies to the person that normally has multiple pensions and has saved up a significant amount of money and maybe single or divorced or widowed. Because in that situation, the only other thing they need to worry about is long-term care or how they're going to pass on their assets. Had one particular gentleman come in just recently, no kids, not worried about passing on anything. Only concern was long-term care. And so that particular individual could take on a lot more risk than someone else. It's all about what you have going on in your life, what your lifestyle is, and what you want to try to accomplish.
You mentioned the P word, pensions. I don't
Pensions.
hear that often anymore.
Because that's it's dying thing, right?
Yeah, it's going away, definitely. But I was reading your book, Tim. And one of the sections in the book that really caught my attention is when you talk about a tax-free retirement.
Absolutely. It's an alternative play for folks that want to have some type of tax-free supplemental income solution because there's only so many tax-free vehicles. So if you can build something to where you can put away more than a Roth and control the volatility more so that you don't have to worry about it, I look at it as like a way to try to replace Social Security. It's generally something that you're going to be a little bit younger because you're putting away, right? So maybe instead of maxing out your 401k, you might want to get like the match to get all the free money out of it, right? That you're putting away to the 401, and you put the rest into something like this, right? So there are supplemental retirement solutions that can be tax-free and can be great fits for a lot of people, but we find that really works well for the pre-retiree. That's a good fit because they have enough time to let that bake, if you will, to grow. And yes, Sal, when it comes out, no ifs, ands, or buts, you follow the rules, it's tax-free. That could be a great supplemental tool. Yeah. And that's extremely exciting because right now we're looking at taxes going up. So having anything that's tax-free is definitely something that you should be talking about with your clients if you're an advisor.
Wow, Tim, so much information. I feel like we need a lot more than just the 30 minutes that we have for the show. So before we go, I want you to remind our viewers what they can get if they decide to call your office. So can you remind our viewers about that?
Absolutely, Sal. So those of you watching, if you're interested in getting your green light retirement check or a copy of my book, Do You Have the Green Light to Retire? Give us a call at 1-800-685-3194. And just a quick recap of what that green light retirement check is us getting to know you, understanding what you want to accomplish, understanding what your finances look like, and then us providing an analysis on that to you. Truly complimentary. There's no fee associated with it. If you want to know what you have, give us a call at 1-800-685-3194.
Well, Tim, the time really flew.
Sure
I felt like there's so much information, and we're about to wrap up the show. But before I do that, I want to thank all of our viewers for watching us every week at the same time. And I also want to thank all of our production staff, all the people behind the scenes that make it possible. But I do want to remind you about this. We talked about Roth, we talked about taxes, we talked about volatility, and I think most of these topics were just in the last 30 seconds. So this can get very complicated very quickly. So I encourage you, make sure you make a note of this, pick up the phone and call 800-685-3194, and you'll get a copy of the book and a complimentary analysis. Thank you, and until next week.